Arsenal win 2-1 at the Bernabeu, beat Real Madrid in the Champions League. Not only did we go through in the second leg, as I said we would, comfortably, but we also won at the Bernabeu, which is never an easy task, no matter the scoreline. But 2-1 to the Arsenal. Bukayo Saka with a lovely chipped goal. Gabriel Martinelli on the break to seal the tie. And as I said, there was no panic. There was no need to worry. This was a stress-free walkthrough of Real Madrid over the two legs, especially today. No stress at any given moment, even when Saka missed that early penalty, even when we were called for a penalty that was then rescinded by VAR. Real Madrid created almost nothing over two legs. I don't care what the statistics say. I don't care what the XG says. I don't care what saves Raya made, the yellow cards that Raya got for time wasting. There was not a moment during either leg that it felt as if Real Madrid had anything going for them. We completely and utterly neutralized Europe's greatest team in the history of this competition and the most dominant over the last 10 years, over the last 15 years, over the last 20 years, and took Real Madrid out back and finished them off. It was an absolute domination by Mikel Arteta's Arsenal side. And as you watch this two legs, it just makes you realize that Arteta hasn't just built this team to play in the Premier League. He's actually built this team to have Champions League success. This is a team of mentally strong, unbreakable players who, no matter what happens, are going to stick to the way that they've been instructed to play. And that is so crucial in the Champions League. It's the ability to control games, to prevent the other team from feeling comfortable, and then scoring when you get little opportunities here and there. It's not about working beautiful goals over a 38-game season and being the best team in the league. It's about having the best individual moments whilst also controlling matches. And that's what we did over two legs. Declan Rice, two brilliant individual moments to score those free kicks in the first leg. After we controlled the entire match, kept it in their half. We should have scored tons of goals from great methodical play. Courtois was just so good. He was on his day. That's what happens in the Champions League. But you know what? Individual brilliance won us that first leg. And the same thing happened here in this second leg. We didn't score an easy chance with Saka at the penalty mark, but Mikel Merino, the unlikely hero with 2 assists, Saka with a chipped goal over Courtois and a shushing of the crowd at the Bernabeu. Individual, brilliant moments over and over again. And Declan Rice, obviously, you don't see him on the board here, but he needs to be talked about. Back-to-back man-of-the-match performances against Real Madrid. He was so utterly unbelievable in transition tonight on the defensive side of the game. It allowed Arsenal to feel comfortable that they could try and put men forward, try and go get goals, try and put this match away, because every time Real Madrid tried to get out on the break, Declan Rice got in the way of passes that they didn't think anyone was getting in the way of. He was always in the right spot tonight. He was all over the pitch. He was just absolutely brilliant, making tackles on Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, any Galactico you want to have. Declan Rice will meet them at the spot. And Arsenal are through in the Champions League to play PSG, as I said they would be. Over two legs, we'll be playing PSG. It's a very exciting time, but we need to talk about our star boy, our star uncle, our star man, Bukayo Saka, who was just brilliant in this match. And you have to remember, he still isn't fully back to match fitness. Yes, he's fit. This is not a player who has a lot of legs under him at the moment. And yes, he missed that penalty. I think that's maybe the worst penalty he's ever taken, even worse than the one he missed at the Euros. You don't go Panenka to the side. You go down the middle, or you don't at all. Probably not the time to try that. Maybe I kind of like the confidence, but nonetheless, he comes back, scores a goal, but I don't even care about the goal so much. He was just so good in this match defensively. You forget what we're missing from him, from his defensive understanding of the game, when to drop back, when to help Timber with an overlap, when to get in passing lanes. And then obviously his holding up of the ball, which I think is the thing we potentially have missed most from Bukayo Saka over the course of his absence. Is he really was our only forward who could not only receive long balls, receive the ball with back to the goal, but also receive the ball with back to goal, hold defenders off, turn them, bring in another defender, switch out the other way, all the sorts of things that Saka is so good at aside from scoring and assisting. He really did that beautifully tonight in a match where we needed him multiple times to just give us a little oomph, give us a little, fight and a little bit of ability to, get away from, not that Madrid was ever really peppering our goal, but they were swinging in crosses. And Saka really stepped up to the plate tonight. Another massive ground that Bukayo Saka has scored on. You can add that list to the Bernabeu, Old Trafford, the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He has scored at every big ground. He scored at Anfield This is a big game player. This is one of the best wingers in the world, a top 5 winger in the world. And it's time to discuss him as a top 10 player in the world overall. Him and Declan Rice are 2 of the best players in the world, bar none. There's not even a question about it. These are 2 of the best players in the world, and they play for Arsenal Football Club. And I think they're going to lift the Champions League trophy this year. And we need to shout out Jakub Kiwior, who, when I started this channel 5 days ago, I did not expect to get this big of a spotlight 5 days in, but what Kiwior has done for this team, stepping in for Big Gabby, who, yes, everything he does as a football player is incredible, Big Gabby, but you have to remember, this is one of our vocal leaders out there, somebody who is always getting the crowd up, getting the team up, calling people out for responsibility, but also mentioning when players aren't doing the responsibility. And this is a guy who now has stepped up, Jakub Kiwior, in the biggest matches of Arsenal's last 15 years against Real Madrid and put in 2 unbelievable performances against Rodrigo and Mbappe on that side of the pitch and absolutely shut them down. He was steadier than Saliba today in a lot of ways. And that's not an easy thing to do for a player who doesn't play a lot of football matches. Like, yes, it's easy to, not easy, but you can step in and do a job. But he didn't just do a job. He stepped in and filled the shoes of Big Gabby in every way that we needed him to. And what he's done is he's put Arsenal in the best possible situation come this summer, which is, we could stick with Jakub Kiwior. This is a player who can step in after not playing a lot, who's happy to be here, happy to be a part of the team, fits in a lot of different ways. The players like him. The coach loves him. We don't need to worry about it. We have that extra depth at center back, which is a much-needed position, obviously. You saw Real Madrid over these 2 legs struggled with a lack of depth options across their back line. Or Jakub Kiwior has just gone and shown that this is not a £15 million player to sell this summer to an Italian club. This is not a $20 million. This is a £30 million center back who has done it on the biggest stages, at the biggest moments, at a big club, who's not going for pennies on the dollar this summer. He has given Arsenal the upper hand in so many different ways for this summer. We don't need to go buy another left center back because Calafiori may not be that left center back we thought he could be and is more of a left back option. We don't need to go buy Dean Huijsen. Do we sell Jakub Kiwior if an offer for 35 million pounds comes in? Sure. Then go spend the other, the extra 10, 15 on a Dean Huijsen, someone who can be a future starter at this club. But if we don't need to and we don't, get that offer, then Jakub Kiwior, we know we can rely on him in a lot of ways, especially in a position that is so crucial, a position we haven't had a backup in for a long time. It's a very, very important role that Jakub Kiwior has played in these last 2 matches. Beyond just the performances he's put in on the pitch, he has made our summer transfer window way easier. And a lot of these big clubs who are so good at selling, this is how they do it. They have players like a Kiwior who, part of great teams, have the acumen. They've shown it enough that it ups their transfer value. It really does. 1 or 2 performances can make a world's difference. Kiwior was going to be going into the summer having barely played this year. He was going to be 15 million pounds. That was it. 20 with add-ons if we're lucky. But he has doubled his value in this current transfer market based off what he's done in these 2 legs. And I trust him. I'm not worried going to PSG about him going up against Barcola and Ousmane Dembele. If he can do it against Mbappe at the Bernabeu, he can do it anywhere. And since we're talking about PSG, there is one sour note to somewhat end this show on, which is Thomas Partey being suspended for that first leg versus PSG after a silly, silly yellow card. Late on in the match, the tie was dead. Rudiger did elbow an Arsenal player, and Partey was trying to get his back, but Declan Rice was so angry to see Thomas Partey get that second yellow because he will be suspended now, Thomas Partey, for that PSG side. And it leaves a big question mark as to what that midfield is going to be because I think Jorginho, from what I've seen, it's a broken rib. So he's not going to be playing anymore, or at the very least, he's not going to be playing in 13 days from now on April 29th. So that means Declan Rice is likely going to have to go away from that position he's been so spectacular in and that left 8 and come back and play the 6, which is fine. Best 6 in the world right now. But taking him out of that position is definitely not ideal. And then who goes ahead and plays in that left 8 slot? Does that mean Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to leave left back where he's been so dominant and get his first start in midfield for Arsenal? If Calafiori's fit? Maybe. Does it mean Mikel Merino drops back into the midfield and I doubt Kai Havertz is back, so Trossard goes to center forward? That's probably more likely to me. And that's a lot less exciting. I think, listen, our first leg's at home, so you can't lose that first leg. You have to get a win at home. And I think that's what we're going to go with. I think you're going to see Mikel Merino drop into midfield. I think you're going to see Trossard at that striker position. with Miles Lewis-Kelly at left back. I don't think Arteta is going to play Miles Lewis-Kelly in his first start in midfield against this side. I could be wrong, but that would be my prediction. And Thomas Partey with the silly fouls put us in that tough spot. But nonetheless, all positives here. Arsenal into the semifinal of the Champions League for the first time since 2008-2009 season. Huge, huge news. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment about what you want me to talk about in this next episode here on Arsenal Report. And thanks so much for watching.